Welcome to INAN's Student. INAN Student is a platform for law students to come here and deliver a lecture on the topic of their choice. Today we have with us law student Vaibhavi Rajendra Gharat. She is going to speak on separation of powers. She is from Subhash Desai College of Law. So without wasting further time, I would request her to commence with the lecture. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Vaibhavi Gharat and I am from Subhash Desai College of Law, and today I will be discussing about fundamental concept of administrative law, that is separation of powers. So and thank you so much Hammurabi Tablet for giving this opportunity to express my words. Okay. So what is separation of powers? Separation of powers is the principle in which powers and responsibilities of government are divided into three main branches, that is legislative, executive and judicial. So each branch has its own specific roles and powers, preventing any single branch from having total control. This system is introduced to ensure the balance of power and to protect the rights and freedom of citizens. So why it is important? The purpose of separation of powers is to prevent concentration of power, which can lead to tyranny or dictatorship. By splitting powers between different branches, no one group can dominate the decision making process. So in earlier time, the king used to do all the things together, like he made the laws, he executed the laws, and he gives the decision or the judgment on all the issues. This means all the three powers of legislative, executive and judiciary are in the hands of only king. Because of one person held all the powers can be misuses of the power. So that's why the concept of separation of powers was introduced. So that's why no single person can control all the functions of the state. Okay. So the idea first gained prominence in the writing of Baron de Montesquieu, a French philosopher, in the book of Spirit of Law in 1748. Montesquieu argued that the best way to avoid abuse of powers was to separate it across different institutions. His idea significantly introduced the creation democratic system, especially in US Constitution. Okay, so now we will see the three branches of government in detail. That is, first, legislative branch. It means law making. The legislative branch is responsible for making laws, controlling government and representing of the people. So their primary role is to draft and debate and pass the laws. Their key powers is to making laws that govern the country, appropriating funds, like deciding how government money is spent, overseeing and checking the actions of executive branch, ratifying treaties and confirming appointments made by the executive. For example, in United States, the Congress consists of the Senate and House of Representatives. Together they pass the law, approve the budget and have the power to impeach the members of executive branch, such as president. If he found guilty, they may because of the misconduct, they may impeach the president. The second branch, that is executive. So executive branch means law enforcing. They enforce the law. Means the executive branch is responsible for enforcing and carrying out the laws passed by the legislative branch. This branch also manages the day-to-day operations of the government. The primary role of executive branch is to enforce the law created by the legislature and to oversee government and administration. Their key powers is are leading national defense and the military, conducting foreign affairs and treaties, vetoing laws passed by the legislature, appointing key officials, including judges and cabinet members, issuing executive orders that direct government actions. Example, in US, the president is the head of the executive branches, and the president has the power to veto legislation and command the military, negotiate the treaty, and enforce the federal laws. Now, who implements the laws? The president, cabinet minister, the government departments, police, IS officers, and collectively all public administrative officers. The third and last branch of judicial separation of powers is judicial branch, that is law interpreting, means giving the judgments. The judicial branch is responsible for interpreting laws and ensuring that they apply fairly. That involves legal disputes and protect the individual rights, and their primary role is to interpret constitution laws and to ensure that government actions comply with the law. The key powers, that is reviewing laws to determine their constitutionality, means judicial review, resolving disputes between the citizens and the government and between the levels of government, protecting individual rights, ensuring laws do not violate the constitution. For example, in US, the Supreme Court is the highest authority, has the power of judicial review. It can strike down laws or executives action that are unconstitutional, and it did in landmark case of Brown versus Board of Education 1954, where it ruled that segregation in public schools was unconstitutional. So next we'll see the key principles of separation of powers. So first principle is to independence of each branch. So every department has independent power, like each branch of government operates independently without interference from the other. This ensures that branches do not overstep their boundaries, like the legislation cannot make executive decisions, the executive cannot create laws, the judiciary does not make or enforce the laws but interpret them. Second, checks and balances. While each branch is independent and they also have power that allow them to check all the limits, the power of the other branches. This creates a balance where no one branch can dominate each other. Example of check and balance: the president can veto laws passed by parliament, but Congress can override the veto and veto with a 2/3 majority vote. And the Supreme Court can declare laws passed with the parliament or actions taken by the president as unconstitutional, thus limiting their powers. Third, preventing abuse of power. The separation of powers ensure that no single branch accumulate too much power. This helps to prevent the abuse of power, protect citizens from dictatorship. Okay, so next we will see the advantages of separation of powers. First, prevent concentration of powers. By dividing among 3 branches, no one branch can gain too much control. This reduces the risk of power being abused or manipulated. For example, in dictatorship, one person or group controls the legislative, executive and the judicial power. But in a system with separation of powers, each branch has checks on the others. Second, ensure accountability. Each branch holds the other accountable. If one branch oversteps its boundaries, and other can step in to stop it. For example, in a if the president abuses power, parliament can impeach them and the courts can rule action unconstitutional. Protects rights and liberties. Separation of powers helps to protect individual rights, ensuring that no branch can violate constitutional protection. The judiciary in particular plays an essential role in defending citizens' rights. Examples, Supreme Court can protect citizens' right by ruling that laws or government actions that violate constitution are not valid. Okay, so next we will see the challenges and criticisms. First, gridlock and inefficiency. One political problem with separation of power is gridlock. When different branches, especially when executive and legislature disagree, it can slow down decision making and prevent the government from functioning efficiently. Second, excessive judicial power. Some critics argue that judicial review gives the court too much power, allowing unelected judges to overrule the decision made by the elected representatives. Third, conflict between branches. Sometimes the branches of the government may come into conflict, especially when they are controlled by the different political parties. This conflict can result in inefficiently and public frustration. There are real world examples, like in United States. The US has one of the clearest example of separation of power, with three branches that operate independently but also have overlapping powers. The president can veto laws, but express can override that veto. The Supreme Court can declare laws unconstitutional, ensuring the system remains balanced. Second, India. In India's government also follows the separation of power model. The president carries out the laws passed by the parliament, and the Supreme Court ensure that laws comply with the constitution. Third, United Kingdom. While the UK does not have a strict operation of separation of powers, there is still a distinction between the executive and the legislative and the judicial powers. The judiciary is the independent and parliament holds the executive accountable. In the lastly, I would like to conclude that the separation of power is a crucial concept that helps to maintain the balance and the fairness in the government by dividing powers among the different branches, and we prevent any group of becoming too powerful and protect rights and freedom of citizens. Thank you.
Vaibhavi, thank you very much. It was a nice overview of the concept of separation of powers, because it is a very important concept which we learn when we are in law colleges, and especially you will face this issue when you are going to argue the cases in future. So thank you very much. A small token from Hammurabi to you.